Welcome everybody to another edition of MLW 2006 as we're continuing the Fusion era with our second set of tapings for Fusion and continuing the road down to our first big super show here on Univision, as well as, we're moving the shows off all the various, little networks, moving to Fusion for obvious reasons. But again, before we go to the actual show, again, just as a quick, don't worry, this will be the last set of things I'll be asking for you guys. Last week I'll be asking for you to look at, because, obviously, if over 2 weeks, whoever doesn't answer by the end of 2 weeks probably isn't that interested in answering a census. But anyway, this is a quick question. Just want to know what series people like, what they don't like, what they're more interested in, what they're less interested in, what they're looking forward to, other, ideas, so just, answer the questions. It'll take maybe 5 minutes tops if you take a long time, but, obviously, honestly, it'll only take a couple of minutes. Just follow the link at the, in the description, fill it out, let me know what you think, and that's it, because I do want to know what people, want to see on this channel. Obviously, there's some stuff that I'm going to do no matter what, but, obviously, if there's interest in in some stuff, but not others, or in something new, or something old, or whatever, obviously, I'll think about that. But, that's it for that, so let's go to MLW Fusion, the third episode, in just a moment here. So we start with the end of MLW Fusion opening, which just says some, some MLW action, featuring the stars of Major League Wrestling, including, Steve Bruno, Averno, Morishima, Loki, and of course Nigel McGuinness. This gets a 59. And then we go to, as Kevin Kelly puts over the fact that, in Major League Wrestling, not every show starts out with the same group of people talking, and Steve Bruno adds in, I resemble that remark, as we have our first match of the night, which starts things off as, and about that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat, Akira Tozawa and Dragon Kid defeats the debuting Volador Jr. and Astro Boy 2 in 9:45, and Dragon Kid pins Astro Boy 2 with the Ultra Hurricanrana. This gets a 46, Astro Boy gets a 34, Volador Jr. gets a 52, Dragon Kid gets a 43, and Tozawa gets a 42. And okay, so Astro Boy's technical gimmick got an adequate, and Volador Jr. got a technical gimmick of 4. Okay, that's unfortunately. But it's only a hit on microphone, so not the end of the world for that. But the 46, really good match considering, Volador and Astro are not over at all. And we move forward, everybody's doing handshakes when Delirious music hits, and out comes with Daisy Hayes. He does, he speaks some garbly gook, and then he points to Dragon Kid. And, announcers are confused, Dragon Kid is confused, Akira Tozawa is confused, Astro Boy 2 and Volador are really confused, but after the after the commercial, the announcers announce officially that, Daisy Hayes has made it clear to MLW officials that Delirious wants to put his MLW Junior Heavyweight title against Dragon Kid next week, live on Fusion. So this gets a 47. Then we have a backstage promo where Chris Hero is, cutting promo saying, tonight I'm wrestling because that's my job. It's what I do best in the world. It's the only thing I can do in this world. So Roderick Strong, you think just because you hit me with a backbreaker and caused me some pain, I'm going to walk away? You've got another thing coming. Man, we tag team for a lot. We traveled all over this country in little gyms in front of 50 people, 25 people learning our skills, and now you want to turn your back on me just because you think you deserve better. Well, you've got another thing coming, and I'll give you a hero's welcome. And it looks like Hero's done when Just Incredible stands and says, "Aw, ain't that nice? Oh, look at that little silver one." Well, you have to realize something, Hero. Yes, you're looking towards Roderick Strong, but you got to face me, a member of the Extreme Horsemen and a former ECW champion. So before you look forward to the king of the backbreakers, you better make sure I don't snap your neck. And then Incredible walks away. Crowd pops as Kevin Kelly puts over it'll be Hero Credible later tonight. And Hero, says he looks forward to Chris Hero learning that villains always win. As this gets a 59. Then we can have a quick, little graphic showing it. The main event tonight is going to be a huge main event as Loki teams with Matt Sydal take on Nigel McGuinness. Loki teams with Nigel McGuinness to take on Matt Sydal and Morishima. As this gets a 50. And then, about that decent run from the crowd, but subpar wrestling, Ezekiel basically squashes Austin Aries in 628 by pinfall with a ball and elbow. This gets a 41. Ezekiel gets a 51. Austin Aries gets a 19 because he's basically not over at all. This is like a version of Austin Aries who's never really got his ROH run, so he's not over at all. Austin Aries gets some, kicks and moves in and strikes in, but Ezekiel just runs him over, hits the big elbow strike. Basically it's a version of Tanaka's roaring elbow, gets the big win. 41, solid win. And then Ezekiel picks him up and says, Homicide, if you want to know why I ran and saved Dut last week, because here's the simple thing. You're a punk bitch. I've been in the cell block before, and I got better. But you think you're a tough son of a bitch just because some geeks in the back are scared of you because you told them stories about you done on the streets. Well, Homicide, you want to try to commit a crime on me? I'll take your lights out. 53 saw a promo as we basically move the Homicide over to Ezekiel for a feud. This gets a 53. And then in a quick little promo, backstage promo, Feeder Attraction, basically in a shooter's kind of way, are putting over, like, they're just throwing cash around as Michael Shane is dressed, like, in a fur coat. Jorah Clark has some, like, a new fancy suit. And they're talking about how Major League Wrestling has realized that the best tag team in the business needs to be paid accordingly. And Michael Shane is now being paid almost as much as his cousin. And now there's nothing that can stop us because we got the gold, we got the money, and we're going to prove that we're the featured attraction. So this got to 48. And yeah, had a little betting war over Michael Shane. Probably overpaid for him, but what can you do? This gets to 48, like I said. And then we have our actual match where about had good heat and decent wrestling. Chris Hero defeats Just Incredible in 8:52 by submission. Back and forth match, but Hero is obviously the better man. Credible goes for the That's Incredible, type of pile driver move. Hero slips out, locks in some kind of wacky lucha submission that he probably seen once in one Negro Navarro match 5 years previous. Slaps it on. Credible has nowhere to go. Credible has to tap out to a pop from the crowd. This gets a 52. Hero gets a 52. Credible gets a 44. Carino says, well, these things happen. Hero got lucky, but Credible still a valued member of the Extreme Horsemen. Post-match, Strong comes out and basically sarcastically applauds as he stares down with Hero, as Kevin Kelly continues, puts over that these former tag team partners will face down one way or the other soon enough. As this gets a 47, good stuff. Strong is getting better at his gimmick, which is good. Then we go backstage where Melina Perez is still with the Maximos, who's, she's still trying to convince them that they need some, managerial focus. Still no agreement. But Joel says, if you get us a match next week, we'll think about it. So this gets a 26. And yeah, I mean, again, this is not good as in ratings, but this is building a story. Then, in a quick little match, as Kevin Kelly puts over, this is the type of in-ring action you can only see in Major League Wrestling here on Univision. Averno defeats Genki Horiguchi in 11:48 by pinfall with the Averno driver. Gets a 58 back and forth match, but Averno is that much better. Averno gets a 64, Genki gets a 31. Really good match, and Averno celebrates afterwards to a 59. So yeah, I mean, perfectly solid match. Averno's Averno, so he's real good. He's sort of in this moment right now where, like, I'm moving him past the junior heavyweight title stuff, obviously, but I don't quite know what to do with him in the main event because he's still a heel lucha guy, so he can't do, like, I mean, I could have him cut promos, but would they be subtitled or whatever? But yeah, I mean, just explaining as I explain, what's going on with that. But I hope, we can sort of set this all up. But yeah, I mean, fun times. Verno's still really good, obviously. And now it's time for the main event. In a 68, which is one of, I think, our best TV match ever, obviously. But it's just a hell of a good match. And about that, superb wrestling and great heat. Low-Ki and Nigel McGuinness defeats Matt Sydal and Takeshi Morishima in 1941 when Nigel McGuinness pins Matt Sydal. This gets a 68. Nigel gets a 65. Low-Ki gets a 65. Morishima gets a 58. Sydal gets a 63. Back and forth match, obviously just pure work rate. Sydal's a huge flippy. Morishima kicks, lures the shit out of people. Nigel McGuinness comes out with his own clotheslines. Like, you can see a little, like, battle between Morishima and Nigel. Then Low-Ki and Morishima. But in the end, McGuinness has Sydal in the ring, hits him with his rebound lariat, hits the 1-2-3, and gets a big victory before Morishima can make the save. And like I said, this gets a 68. And then post-match, Morishima, Sydal gets up and sort of like yells at Morishima for not getting in quicker, sort of points at his belly. Morishima pushes Sydal back, and then out of nowhere, Low-Ki comes in, a huge, like, just sidekick, like, just a kick from hell to Morishima, knocks him back. Another quick kick to Sydal knocks him out of the ring as Low-Ki stands tall to end the show, as this gets a 65. All while Carino's sort of like, Sydal should know better. He's dealing with the world champion right there. And overall, the show itself gets a 59. So, really good show. Again, just advancing everything. Um, again, slowly building, and building. We're building like weekly stories up as you can see, but also building a long-term story up. But I'll be back in just a second with the second show of the taping, which I hope you'll enjoy. Right now, it's time for the second show of the taping, as we officially have a sellout here in Melbourne, Florida, in front of about 1,000. I mean, no, Orlando, Florida. That was the other place. Anyway, we start with our opening. Again, same people. Loki is the person who's focused here, so this could say 55. And then the announcers put over that it'll be a big junior title match involving Delirious and Dragon Kid. This gets a 54. Karina says, they're both great wrestlers. Of course, not as good as the MLW World Champion, but, these guys will put on quite a show later tonight. As this gets a 54, and then we go into our opening match, which Kevin Kelly puts over, has been arranged by Melina Perez. Oops, sorry, that's next, after this. Anyway, we go backstage. Oh, right. Okay. See, this is why I double check stuff. Okay, so this is Kevin Kelly all putting over that stuff, and then we go backstage, because Carino's not on comms yet, as Kelly even puts that over, that Carino's still backstage, and we don't know what's up with him. Anyway, now we have Carino, JT Dillon, Morishima, just incredible, all backstage. Carino points out, Diamond's busy with other Horsemen business tonight, but together, we are still the most awesome force in professional wrestling. We got the contract signing with Loki tonight, and Lolo said he's the number one contender, so we can't get rid of him for the title shot. Last week was our last chance. Unfortunately, somebody blew it. Not you, no, not you, not you, Chichi. That son of a bitch said out. But that's why we keep Horseman business. But tonight, we show Loki why he's never going to be the champion again. Got it? Good. Trina walks away. Morishima sells the world title on his waist. Credible looking cocky, and Dylan is looking Dylan. As this gets a 65, good stuff. And then we have an opening match that, Kevin Kelly puts over. He has been arranged by Melina Perez, as Carino comes back from the comms. And Kelly makes a joke, says, one big happy family, huh? Carino says, Horseman business is Horseman business. So in the decent match, though, the SAT defeats Chad Collier and Michael Tomanis in 7:35 when Maximo pins Michael Moss with the Spanish Fly. 48, solid win over the job tree of the stars. Maximo gets a 48. Maximo gets a 49. Moss gets a 50. Collier gets a 34. Good. Just high spot seal show match. And after the match, Maximo celebrate, and Melina comes out. It's sort of like, as did I do a good job? Joel seems a little more into it than Jose, but they both walk past her without giving her an answer as she's waiting sort of on the ramp there. So this gets a 35, like I said, and can use this little storyline we're doing. Then not post-match, we go backstage, where Natty Neidhart is backstage on her own when she sort of circled around by both Michael Shane and Jarrell Clark, a featured attractor. And, Michael says something like, I understand, you grew up with those Canadian boys up in Calgary, and you think you're stuck with them, but isn't it time for you, Natty, for you to be with a real man? Look, I understand your uncle and my uncle's had some issues, but look, let's bring peace to the families by hooking up and making some beautiful babies. Natty, of course, slaps him, walks away. As Natty walks away, Shane looks over at Clark, and Clark says, really? And Shane says, hey, look for the shot. And then, enters over that later tonight, it will be Michael Shane versus Harry Smith of the Stampede Bulldogs, as this gets a 40. And then we have Reeves killing M-Dog 20 in 256 by pinfall to Charging Alert. This gets an 18. So M-Dog 20 tries something slightly different this time, as he just rushes at Reeves, and it keeps Reeves off for a minute, but then eventually M-Dog 20 dives on him with the crossbody. Reeves catches him, power slam of doom, and then sooner or later Reeves just kills him with the charging lariat. 1, 2, 3. Reeves gets a 31, M-Dog 20 gets a 24, and just another squash win for Reeves. And then the rest of Dynamite and Daisies come in the ring as we get a 51 promo. At first, Vetter says, what you just saw was just more proof of why we're not just breaking records in the music business, but in the wrestling business. We're the fastest rising group in professional wrestling history, and you'll just have to accept our greatness. I realize we don't play noise like your precious. I should have really took 2006 bands up here. Insert, or insert, heel segment about either a rap or a rock band that I'm not thinking of right now. Time for me to look up the Billboard charts for 2006 after this. Anyway, so he gets booze, and Ray Gordy jumps in and says, "Look, here's the truth. You got to realize one thing. Me and Vetter, sooner or later, we're going to be tag champions. We're going to be at the top of Major League Wrestling, and there's absolutely nobody who can stop us. I was bred into this business. Vetter has crawled and done all he can to become greatness. And there's nothing you can stop us. We're going to be getting gold records from the RA, from record industry, and we're going to be getting gold belts from MLW one way or the other." And then Nikki steps up and says, one thing MLW doesn't have is lots of great wrestlers all over, including my boys. But what they don't have is women's wrestling. And if MLW is really about hybrid wrestling and all the styles, then I want a women's match in MLW sooner than later. And that sort of ends the promo as this gets a 51. Then we go backstage where Seidel is really not happy. Unfortunately, he didn't do what that was script to follow, so he only gets a 51 here, mainly because it's a short promo. But he basically, he's basically just sort of still running around, really upset as Val is trying to calm him down. Look, it was one move, but yeah. Now, MLW saying, I gotta face McGinnis again, when I've kicked his ass so many times. Well, Nigel, if MLW officials really want me to prove who's the better man, well, I'll guess I have to prove one more time. You're nothing but an English blimey prick, and I'm the future of this business. And he walks away as Val tries to keep him calm down as this gets to 51, like I said. Then we're backstage where Ezekiel is just backstage when out of nowhere Homicide just attacks him and just takes him out of nowhere. And Homicide he also, a real gangster would have seen this coming. You're nothing but a straight up bitch. And Ezekiel walks away as Homicide basically celebrates, and we've got a new gimmick of Gangsta's Paradise, which is adequate, not the end of the world. And sort of continuing this little feud that's going on. And then in a superb match, which, wow, this was actually a lot better than I expected. Roderick Strong defeats Sabu in 10-17 by pinfall. This gets a 63. Let's see here. Argument, good color comment. I guess this just get really good. Anyway, so sort of the match is, Strong, is still a heel, but he's still one of the better wrestlers in the company. So he hits a ton of backbreakers on Sabu. Sabu fights back with some brawling because he's Sabu. Looks like Sabu is going to get the win, but then, Sabu goes for one of his Arabian facebusters. Strong catches him. Backbreaker of Doom, 1, 2, 3, and Sabu picks up the win. Strong gets a 59, Sabu gets a 56, like I said. And post-match, Hero comes down and then he sarcastically applauds and points at Strong as this gets a 57 to continue their storyline. Then, in a very interesting match, in a decent match, Michael Shane defeated Terry Smith in 11:03 with a Sweet Shane music. God damn, that's a dumb name, but I love it. Following interference from Talia Madison. During the match, we also had Natty Neidhart distract Michael Shane. So what happens here is first, Natty comes down to ringside to help Harry out. She sort of acts like she's actually flirting with Shane, and then slaps him again, allows Harry to get some babyface fire. But then later in the match, Harry Smith is going to go for some sort of running power slam, but somebody slides in from the ringside area. It's it's a woman. She grabs Harry Smith's legs. That gives Terry Smith look away. Shane hits the, hits a elbow, hits a low blow, takes advantage, then hits Sweet Shane music, and gets the 1, 2, 3 over Harry Smith. This gets a 55. And, Talia Madison makes her debut with her Little Smith Thang gimmick and gets finished ring a very good. And post-match, Talia walked away with Michael Shane, which gets a 54. And they also had pretty good chemistry, and a world match got a 55. I forgot to look at their individual ratings. So Talia makes her debut as basically Michael Shane's eye candy / valet / future, who knows, as this gets a 54. Then in our, ouch. This is unfortunate. I was not expecting this crappy. Wow, okay. Wow. Okay. Anyway, and about that decent reaction from the crowd, but subpar wrestling. Delirious defeated Dragon Kid in 12:26 by pinfall with a chemical imbalance. Delirious makes defense number 3 of his World Junior Heavyweight title. This gets a 45 because Dragon Kid and Delirious did not click at all. Dragon Kid gets a 33. Delirious gets a 45. So yeah, match got the crowd buzzing still, but yeah, let me see if it was just the yeah, bad worker chemistry and well face heel combination. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. And then Tozawa comes in and like basically pushes Delirious after he gets the win. You know, there's a face off. Dragon Kid tries to get between them, but they continue to argue. As youngsters put over, it looks like the Hero Delirious feud is far from over. This gets a 45. And yeah, quick backstage note: I was going to have the Shane Harry Smith match like as the main event, but I thought, well, this Delirious Dragon Kid match would have to be a little bit better. Plus, it's the title match. So I guess I was what you call wrong. Yeah. Then we have our final segment of the show. So first, the Horsemen come down. We got Morishima, Reno, Dylan. Credible's also there. I just didn't rate him. Then out comes Loki. Loki, basically has him like Furcus. He says, throughout he is, Morishima, I do have a lot of, respect for you. Well, I had a lot of respect for you, but ever since you've matched up with this snake in the grass, Reno slices her mouth says, who's me? And the rest of this group. I have lost respect for a great warrior like you. We could have had great battles, but instead you're standing behind scum like this. And so I just have to take you out and take back my world heavyweight title. Where Shima sort of like stands up to him, says, points at him, then points at the belt as Loki signs. And then Reno takes the mic as after Loki signs and says, well. Loki, I always knew you were kind of dumb, but this is a real news to me. Because, you see, that contract you just signed, yes, it's mostly a standard world title contract, but there's one thing in there. It's, if you don't win the world title from Morishima, you do not get another title shot as long as this man is the world heavyweight champion. So, you have fun with that. The reality is, Morishima is the future of wrestling. He's the Japanese bulldozer, and just like you wrecked your little friend Amazing Red, and just like he wrecked you, honestly, for the world title, he is going to become the world champion. He's going to stay the world champion, and you can talk about being a warrior all you want. Well, it's not 1432 or whatever. There are no warriors. There's just athletes, and this is how athletes win, Loki. So do your best, and it just won't be enough against the Extreme Horsemen. So you have a no showdown between Loki and Reno, and Morishima also stepping in, sort of push Loki. And before things break that down, MLW officials step between us, and that ends the show as this gets a 62. And overall, we get a 50. Ouch. Yeah, that main event really cost us. And really, we didn't have anything to stand out, honestly. Like, we sort of risk it with the junior heavyweight title match being the main event. So, yeah, I mean, not the end of the world. Like, it still gained us, like, pop in most of the world. So it's not, like, the end of the world or anything. But still, not what you want to see. Not what you want to see at all. We'll just see what looks here. Okay, so Drew Clark. I mean, it's Melina in 2006. Of course, she doesn't know how to work. Also, yeah, Rain, who we signed to be part of the women's division, got pregnant. So, it's unfortunate. But yeah, I wanted to show you guys also since it's just happening this night. So TNA had their big show. So again, TNA is just putting off insane shows. So let's just look at the show they had. Okay, so we had Sanjay Dutt, Apollo, and Abyss defeating Don Harris and Samoan Connection, which is ECMO and Sonny Siaki, which is interesting, in a 70. We had Shark Boy defeating Black Tigers Max for the World Junior Heavyweight title, NWA. So that's also Jeremy Lopez. We had the Untouchables, which is Mikey Tenderfoot and Rod Steele. Or no. Yeah, defeated Diamond and Swinger and Gilbert Young to retain the NWA tag titles in 69. We had Jeff Jarrett defeating Alex Skipper and Shane Douglas in 75. We had James Storm defeated Eric Watts and the Amazing Red to retain the X Division title in 77. And we had then we had Slim J, if you don't know who he is, he's a long-time Georgia indie worker who did a sort of Eminem gimmick to begin with, but eventually became actually a really solid worker. Anyway, he's the NWA World Champion for some reason, and he defeated Christian Cage in 86. And then the main event, Christopher Daniels defeated Raven in 85. So yeah, incredibly interesting show. HAPW had their big show, which was main evented by Kushima defeating Sasaki to retain the Triple Crown. And also, just because I know I've showed it a couple times, and it continues to be sort of the wackiest stuff I've seen. So New Japan had their big show. So again, just to go over the show. In like the undercard, we had Tanahashi defeating Funaki, who's a former big MMA guy. We had Sasaki versus Fujinami in the friggin' pre-show. We had Minoru Suzuki defeating Tiger Max 4 in just a random match. We had Ishimura and Josh Daniels defeating El Samurai and Naruse to retain the tag titles, junior tag titles. We had Bryan Danielson versus BBX Hulk for the under 30 title. We had Sakamoto defeating Togi Makabe and Kanamura, who's a deathmatch guy, in a three-way in 84. We had, okay, look at this match. Look at this match and see you don't want to see this match. Kota Ibushi, Masato Tanaka, and Ogawa defeated Goldberg, Matt Hardy, and Vader in a six-man, which got an 86, despite Vader getting a 51. We had Suzuki and Liger defeating Jado and Hellgito Santon Seat. Okay, sure. We had Naruki Doi defeating Koji Kanemoto to retain the junior heavyweight title. We had Chono defeating Nakamura in 89. And the main event, Nagata defeated Tenzan in 95. That is fantastic AI booking. But yeah, I'll be back in just a moment with the end of month stuff, because that'll just be a little fun for us to go over, and sort of just like, you know, a little overview of our first month on TV and everything. So I'll be back with that in just a moment. All right, some end of the month cleanup, but let's just first look at what the what WWE tried to do, as they're insane. Like, this is like, again, I don't know if it's just mod or just the roll of the dice, but between New Japan doing what they're doing and sort of the weird roster WWE has figured out in this game. Anyway, so had the Rumble, nothing too crazy on the undercard. Charlie Haas and Ernest Miller defeat C.V. Richards and Chris Sabin. Oh, aside from Sabin, that could be a tag match in 2000. We had Don Reed defeating Stacey Keebler in 59. So Tori Wilson Jacqueline defeated The Burning, who is Amy, Lita, and Daphne. Okay, rip to Daphne. Ultimo Dragon defeated Nunzio in a random 81. Not bad. Jazz defeated Molly Holly in a 75. Ultimo Guerrero and Mephisto defeated Val Venus and Lance Storm for the World Tag Titles in 83. Yes, in 2006, WWE, Ultimo Guerrero, and Mephisto are your tag team champions. In insane 99 six-man, Icho Omuriono, who, if you don't know, is Psychosis, Kurt Angle, and Test, okay, defeated Rhino, Kidman, and Funaki in a 99. Sure. We had The Undertaker win a 30-man Battle Royal, so he won the Rumble, and we had Ric Flair defeat Shawn Michaels to retain the world title in a 99. Okay, sure. Why not? So that's some fun. We finished second out of 3 in Southeast Regional Battle, which isn't bad. Again, if we look at our size real quick, so over the past month, we didn't actually gain that much. We gained a little in Southwest, but that's about it. Everywhere else we're sort of steady, which I sort of expected from our first set on TV, especially because at least for the first week we were still on Sunshine Network and nowhere else. But still, we're slowly gaining. Again, creative wise, for our first check look, Nigel, Simon Diamond, Loki, Matt Sydal, Steve Carino. Next big things, Austin Aries, Genki, Michael Shane. Hot prospects, Austin, Astro Boy 2, who by the way is just Mystico, Nikki Rocks, Genki, and Reeves. Talk the Talk is Carino, Diamond, Shane, Fat 2, Credible. If anything, I sort of probably under pushing Simon Diamond, as sort of Carino's just backup. Showstoppers is Shane, Sydal, Hero, Nigel, Red. Ring Generals is Hero, Nigel, Carino, Homicide, Kushida, who, yeah, I think I said people was on this show, but yeah, I signed him up because he's in 0-1 only. Who's hot is ECMO, Nigel, Averno, Homicide, Ray Gordy. Who's not is only Sabu Incredible, and I'm okay dropping these guys out. Roster-wise, just as a quick check, I know I already showed you guys this, but I'll just do a quick check for people who have, said decent months. So, Averno is actually up a couple points just because he got on TV and won. Delirious, let's see here. Delirious is also up a point in a couple places. Let's see here. Homicide. Homicide won a match, so yeah, he's up. he dropped a point or up a point everywhere. Loki is about even. Matt Seidel actually dropped slightly, which I made sense because he kind of like did a couple jobs. McGinnis, if we're rebuilding him, like yeah, he gained a couple points, which is good. Simon Diamond again is about even. Steve Carino's about even. Like he's getting slightly more over, but not that much over. Morishima, thankfully, is gained. Okay, he's about even, so he actually lost a little bit because he did job in the tag match. Well, he didn't do the job, but like his team lost. Red's about even despite jobbing, at the end of the show. Let's see, is there anybody else who I want to show you guys? Hero Shane. Let's see, how well is Shane doing? Okay, Shane gained a point in some places. Let's see here. Well known. Anything of interest for you guys? Maximos have actually got, like, if you notice, like, Maximos have gotten really over because I actually put them in segments, and also, yeah. I guess they also had a big ROH match, which I'm going to pretend didn't happen, but yeah. Let's see here. Roderick Strong, Sabu, Vetter. Vetter's somebody else who's slowly getting more over because it's TV time. If you look at recognizable folks, Tozawa is slowly getting there. Like, he's almost, like, yeah, he'll get there eventually. Ezekiel, again, just winning matches will get you over quick enough because he already gained a couple points. Let's see, is anybody of interest for you guys? Oh, yeah, Reeves. Reeves, he dropped a little just because he had some bad matches, but, he can get some comeback. Volador Jr. is not that over yet, and yeah, like, see, if Austin Aries has not had his ROH run, like, he was in MLW, which is a Minnesota Fed, and that's about it. So, yeah, that's the problem. This is not actual 2006 Austin Aries. This is, like, a guy who stayed in Minnesota instead of jumping to the East Coast. Dragon Kid, okay, Dragon Kid was not as over as I thought he was. I should have double-checked that, and that match, plus the bad chemistry, so that makes sense. And, Melina Perez, Perez is slowly getting over due to TV time. And yeah. Oh, okay. So she got a job with WBA, which is why she's actually on. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, that's it. I think those are two solid TV shows. I hope you guys enjoyed them. Like, that second show is not like our best, but like I sort of took a risk by just putting them over as just putting the junior heavyweight title match. But we're continuing the storylines, pushing that stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below on what you're liking and not liking. And subscribe to your channel for lots of TEW 2020 content like this, including my WCW 2004 series, now heading towards Sacrifice. After, of course, like I always do, I booked the WrestleMania for the AI, which had a big main event, which, is a lot different from the real-life WrestleMania 20. Continuing our WCW 1984 series, which now is out of Spring Stampede, and heading towards Slamboree with Rick Rude, now as your world champion. Sorry for spoilers. And, of course, this series will just continue on and continue on. But that's it for now. And, of course, my W 2013 series, set up by random number generator, including goals like making Miz Undertaker's opponent for the next WrestleMania in 2014. So, fun times, as always. If you enjoy this, I hope to see you soon. But talk to you later, and adios.